The Minnesota Vikings' biggest free agent priority this offseason should and could be, actually it should be, 6-year safety Anthony Harris, the pride of Virginia. Whose? That's right. Now, question is, how much is it going to cost to keep the Batman to Harrison Smith's Batman in purple? That's right, 2 Batmans. Best thing ever, right? So let's dig into it. Anthony Harris, he does love it here. Loves playing with Harrison Smith and on this defense, where I feel like the Vikings have gotten a great benefit from taking care of the players a year early, although it's not applicable in this case, but also the fact that Zimmer and this defense has built such a great culture that a lot of the players on this defense will take substantially less than their market. I mean, you look at the Danielle Hunter contract, you look at Barr, you look at Kendricks, you look at Harrison Smith, you look at kind of Xavier Rhodes on his extension, even though he hasn't lived up to it. You look at Everson's extension and then a redoing of his deal last offseason. Look at Linval Joseph's second contract, or hell, his first contract here with the Vikings, where they understand that they built something special on that side of the ball most of the time. Maybe not at some points during 2019, but they want to stay together and they want to stay an elite unit. And, since there is some diminishing returns once you get up there in terms of the high 8 figures, maybe they take a little bit less, although I wouldn't fault Anthony Harris for taking top tier money this time around. But Lexi here in Minnesota is a nice condo downtown, living a good life, but also having that extra $10, $11, $12 million a year will certainly help that quality of life, and I think he's earned every single penny. So now the question is, just like every other position, the safety market has reset itself in terms of Cheeseburger Eddie Jackson re-signing with Chicago, the 4-year, $84.4 million extension. I think that's likely a starting point where, as you see with every single position, where it is a game of leapfrog, where you have a group of usually 8 to 10 players that are at the top tier at their position. They just go back and forth, and the highest paid guy is just the last guy to get paid. It's not necessarily an indictment on who is the best. It's just who was set to be a free agent next, right? And then also with Eddie Jackson's deal, he did have $33 million in practical guarantees as well as a $12 million signing bonus, both nearly setting the market there. So I think that's where the starting point is going to be for Anthony Harris. And also Eddie Jackson at $14.6 million is the highest paid safety in the NFL in terms of average per season. I don't know if Anthony Harris is going to be eclipsing that deal, but we're certainly going to be in that ballpark. And there's a couple of reasons why Harris should be pressing for more money. Number one, he's worth it. He is one of the best coverage safeties in the NFL, tied for the NFL lead in terms of interceptions this year with 6, as well as been a top 3 graded PFF safety each of the past 2 years. And he is the NFL's best kept secret. Been saying that for a long time. Number 2, Anthony Harris is sneaky old. He really is. He turns 29 in October, so realistically, this is his one shot to really bang it and really get some cash on the table here before Father Time catches up. And also, I think there needs to be an overhaul in terms of the UDFA system, because here's what happens. So UDFA players are generally 4-year players, sometimes from smaller schools. So the guys that have been all the way through their senior year. Sometimes they have red shirts. So sometimes they're coming in at 23 years of age. And then they're on 3-year contracts if they make the 53. Then after those 3 years, they have an exclusive rights free agent deal, which is essentially like hey, does the team want you or not? The team wants you. Okay, you're making X. And then they have a restricted free agent season, which Anthony Harris just had in 2019. They slapped the second round tender on him, which is a little something. I actually think that he made more in his second round tender than he did in his previous 4 years combined. Don't quote me on that. Either way, it's kind of close. But either way, I mean, UDFA guys who come in, make the roster, make a splash, they're 5 years away from serious money. And that's patently unfair. It just really is. But argument for another day. But Anthony Harris, this could be his one big chance to cash in, because say he inks up for a 4-year extension, then he's going to be 33 years old. 33-year-old coverage safety, it's a little rough. But this Anthony Harris situation, as currently constituted, it really does remind me of Everson Griffin in 2014. I mean, that was the year where the Vikings signed up Everson to a 5-year, $42.5 million deal, one of the highest paid edge rushers in the league, as he replaced Jared Allen. But at that time, Everson Griffin had only started 1 game, and the national media flipped a tit. They were like, what? Everson Griffin getting that amount of money? The Minnesota Vikings have jumped the shark, blah, 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 blah. But the Vikings do. They knew that Everson Griffin was ready to step up. He was elite in a rotational role, and he's ready to be that guy. Now, with Anthony Harris, has been a starter for 2 seasons now, and even though he's flying under the radar, I actually think that it's similar to Everson Griffin, that he still hasn't gotten the national media love, even though a lot of the analysts, even though his stats say that he should, he still isn't getting the time of day. So right now, it wouldn't shock me if Anthony Harris becomes a top 3 paid safety when virtually the entire country doesn't know who he is, and I expect a similar reaction when free agency opens, or if the Vikings are able to get a deal done here before the beginning of March, where it's like, oh, Anthony Harris is now the highest paid safety in the league? What? Yeah, Mike Florio will be up there and like, all that other stuff. Because Anthony Harris, like we said, is the best kept secret in the NFL. And I hope the Vikings do whatever it takes to keep 41 in purple. I really do. And they can free up cap space. They can cut Xavier. They can restructure Reef or cut Reef and cut or restructure Linval, as well as restructure Barr and Thielen and Diggs and all that other stuff. So there's always money in the banana stat. Hashtag cap is a myth. Right, and then you can structure his contract so it's a small cap hit in 2020 and just get over that hump of one more year before 2021 comes in, that new CBA, that salary cap skyrockets. So they can structure it like that, similar to how they were able to get by this year with Anthony Barr, because Anthony Barr only counted like $5.5 million against the cap this year. They structured it really wonky donkey so that Anthony Barr just sort of skirted by, and they can restructure him as well. So I think Harris is certainly worth top tier safety money, but also if the team drags their feet and they want to see more, it's like, hey, can you do it for one more year? Just throw the franchise tag on him. I mean, it's fine. It's probably going to be around $13 million for 2020. It's a big number, and that is fully on the cap for 2020. So that's the least attractive option, but either way, just keep Anthony Harris here in purple. I think he's a very vital part of this defense, and let's go from there. All right, your thoughts. Anthony Harris, resign him. That is all. Let us know in the comment section below. Also, subscribe for daily Vikings takes. If you want to support the work, become, down below, hit that join button. Become a monthly Jerome or a platinum Jerome player, as well as toss a little something in the Venmo. Plus, give us a follow on social media as well. But until next time, Skull, production value.